Earlier this year, I decided to take my iconic TRX250R and take it from a motocross machine and turn it into a drag racing machine. The 250R is known for its handling and jumping abilities, especially on the motocross track. So some people weren't happy to hear that I was turning it into a drag racing machine. But out on the sand, power is king, and especially being able to put that power to the ground without the front end coming up. So far, we've added an extended swing arm and done quite a bit of weight loss to make this thing faster. The final key is upgrading the engine from a 309cc to a 380cc engine with a ton more power. The problem is the event that I'm getting this machine and another one ready for is in just a couple of days, and I haven't even started building the engine. We've also got over 1,700 miles to get to the event, so we have to factor in over 24 hours of driving, and we need to make sure we're 100% prepared in case anything goes wrong on the sand. Building a performance engine with somewhat experimental parts is one of those things you don't really want to be rushing with. But in the spirit of, well, me, that's exactly what we'll be doing. So with less than a week to go, I've got the other machine I'm bringing, the Yamaha Tri-Z, about 99% complete. Let's see if we can get this Honda dialed in. It is pure chaos in the shop here, guys. There's just stuff all over the place, man. What a freaking mess. Got just stuff everywhere. I have been working on the 250R. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be doing the engine build in this series for 3 reasons. Well, 2 reasons, really. Number one is that today is Friday. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've only got half a day left here, and I need to be on the road Wednesday at like 6:30 a.m. So basically, we have until Tuesday night to have this 250R completely finished. There's still some finishing work that I have to do on the Tri-Z, not really much, and then I need to load up the trailer and just pack and everything for it's going to be a 10-day trip. And I'm going by myself, so I have to make sure that I'm 100% prepared. I just don't think we're gonna have enough time to be doing the engine build. Now, there's some other reasons too. So see these Hot Rods crank boxes? Tore down the M309, and unfortunately, you can see here's my welded crank. Let me turn the light on here. And you can see here's the old crank. It was welded up by Dave Moore. You probably won't be able to see this because you can barely even feel it. There's such a small amount of up and down play. It's so small that I almost still like second guessing whether it's there. But then when you take the new crank and feel it, it is super tight. So I didn't want to risk throwing this crank in. This bearing has never been changed. That is the one that was in there from the very start of the 250R series. If you guys followed that series, I learned a lot building that machine. The first time I had it at the Dunes, we ended up melting it down, redid everything, and then took it out to the Dunes again, and it melted down again. That engine has seen some serious stress, specifically this crank, because this is the one part that I never swapped out whenever I was doing the rebuilds. So I think it's a good thing that we got a new crank anyways. But regardless, the reason that I'm bringing that up is because this just came in the mail today. So the past 2.5 days, I haven't been able to start building because I was waiting on the crank. So I have to true this and weld it. I've got all brand new lower end bearings that are supposed to be coming in the mail today. And with those 2 things, then I can start the engine build on the bottom end. I still have to do some case porting in here. Over here, you can see there's metal shavings and stuff. I've got my little porting tool here, and I just got done porting the intake. This is a DMR cast aluminum intake. I've got that all port matched. We've been doing some porting over here too. You can see we've got some porting dust. We're saving weight. I've got some cleanup porting to do in the cylinder. Just a lot of stuff to do to get ready for this trip, and it's just too much to be filming because filming, it realistically makes things take like 4 or 5 times longer. Here is the SMR pipe. I have this clear Cerakoted now. So this should never rust. It looks like it's been freshly oiled because it left a nice clean gloss on there. So that should be good to go. I did these portions over here too. I even heat treated these. So that finish should last forever. Now moving on to the frame, I did a couple things too. You remember the big ass pegs that I was gonna put on there? I've actually got them right here. Look at the size difference, dude, holy shit. These are steel, these are aluminum, and they've got stainless steel cleats in them. These come from BDT Motors. It's a company I haven't really dealt with too much, but I saw they had these pegs, and they really are nice. They only weighed like 1.7 pounds, and these were just over 3 pounds. I weighed them. So we're saving a decent amount of weight, like 4 pounds, by switching to those pegs. They weren't cheap. They were about 300 bucks, but you get what you pay for. Definitely hefty price on those, but they are sweet. And then back here, I swapped out the sprocket for an aluminum sprocket, and I shaved this down. You can see where the bolts are. There used to be 3 bolts, so I machined that down. I'm also I ordered titanium hardware for everything in the axle, and we saved about 3/4 of a pound more on the axle. Actually a pound if you include the sprocket. So we're moving in the right direction. I also have been removing as much rolling resistance as possible. Check this out. I should have done this in the beginning of the video and then come back, because those wheels will literally spin for 3 minutes. Just a lot of things to do, a lot of stuff all over the place, and not a lot of time. But what else is new? Some more cool stuff here. We've got, these are billet aluminum lug nuts. I have these on the Voodoo Banshee. They actually work really well. Haven't had any issues with them stripping out or anything, and they're way lighter than the steel ones. I've got a billet kick shaft for the Kickstarter. I don't know that this is gonna be any lighter than the steel one because it is super thick. So the material itself being lighter, because it's so big, might actually end up being just as much as the steel one, but it's still a trick part. And then we've got this Mod Quad counterbalancer holder. That's gonna be going in the engine. Just some cool trick stuff. And then in this thing right here, I've got a 7075 aluminum rod. It's just a plain aluminum rod. And I've also got these universal tie rod ends that will fit into the 250R. The tie rod ends are lighter than the 250R ones, and then they are heavy duty motocross stainless steel ones that came with those motocross A-arms, which realistically, you know, it's not the perfect setup for drag racing. Swapping out the A-arms would be the best thing to do, but we can do some aluminum tie rods, and I bet you we'll save like £1.5 pounds per side maybe, and it's really easy to do. Could not find any aftermarket ones for the 250R, so I'm just gonna make them. I also just found this. I don't know if you can see, but I got a broken reed pedal, and it's Friday. So I literally just found this now. Thank God for Rocky Mountain ATV. They have next day air shipping, and they did have these V-Force 3 replacement reed pedals. This would run like this, but we're not doing that, man. We're gonna put some fresh reeds in there. They will be here hopefully tomorrow, if we're lucky. And I'm gonna get to it here. So unfortunately, guys, there's probably not gonna be too much detail on this, but I do wanna get like the first start, if we even do that here. We might be doing that at the dunes, and we might stop here and there along the video for some of the processes. I gotta get to work though, guys. I'm gonna get after it. I can't help it. We gotta see what we're saving in the lug nuts. So these are the takeoff lug nuts. These are those nice, I think they're nickel coated, these cap nuts. Really nice, but they're not the best when it comes to weight saving. Got 0.91 pounds, so these weigh almost a whole freaking pound, man, going right in the trash. They actually are really nice though. These are the GPS ones, so these are made of 7075 aluminum. These are great, man. They are very light and they're pretty expensive, or inexpensive rather. It's $40 for a set of 16 of these. So like if you're going lightweight and you start thinking about titanium and stuff, titanium is super expensive. So in relation to that, it's pretty good bargain. Plus these things look really nice. You can get them in different colors too. We got 0.584. So what is that, like 3.35 pounds that we're saving in rotational mass? So that'd be like the equivalent to about a pound of non-rotational mass. So we're saving weight and it looks trick. And really the lightest way to go would be if we just use these standard M10 by 1.25 nuts. Now, I guess like you probably should have like a flange nut or use a washer on these, but we'll just go like the lightest that we could possibly do. 0.358, so these are 0.2 pounds heavier, but they're just way nicer. And I do want to have some bling remaining on this machine, so I'm willing to forego that small amount of weight gain just to have these cool lug nuts. All right, let's get to work. All right, guys, it's Monday. I have been chipping away at everything on this 250R. Need to be leaving Wednesday by around 6:30 in the morning is when I'd like to leave. And I just found something that could potentially, you know, you guys can probably see up here on this transfer bridge, there's a piece of chipped Nicosil. That is not good. And it's in like the worst spot because the piston ring is going to catch that little lip going up, and then it's going to catch the lip going down. The right thing to do would be to take this and send it out to Power Steel USA or Millennium and have it replated. But the problem is we spent all this time preparing this engine, getting everything good to go. You can see I've got the engine all set up for assembly. Everything, like all the hard work is done. In here, I spent hours cleaning up these transfers, port matching, making sure that everything will go together and have really good performance. I really don't know what to do at this point because the whole point of this trip was to bring and show off this 250R. I could put the 309 top end on. I could just throw that 309 top end on the bottom, the billet bottom end and everything, but then we're gonna have 309 performance. The smart thing to do would be build the bottom end. You know, we can show off the billet bottom end and all that stuff. Put the 309 top end on there and just run it that way. It's not gonna have crazy performance or anything. It'll be just like last time out. And then I can just bring this cylinder and show people what happened and stuff, and then get this plated and come back for vengeance because, you know, if I could smooth it out and maybe get away with it, but then we might, you know, we risk having a catastrophic engine failure or seizure or something, which is just, I really just don't know, because it's possible that we could run it and it would be fine. You know what? It. In the spirit of full sending it, I'm gonna take this little diamond burr and see if I can smooth out the plating to a point where it is bonded to the cylinder and looks good. And then we can assemble it and we'll see how the rings pass over it. And maybe it will be okay. But you should not do this. This is totally bad advice. The only reason that I'm doing this is because we have no other choice. There's no way we could send this out and get it replated and back here by tomorrow. There's just no possible way. So all right. All right, I've got it smoothed out. I went with the diamond cutting wheel, and then I went in there with 220 sand grit, 320, and then 600. And then I polished it with 2 different compounds to make it basically ultra smooth. And I recessed the aluminum portion, because basically I just cut away the plating until it's at a portion where it still has a nice bond. And I recessed that bridge about maybe 1/2 millimeter, because I don't want the piston ring gliding on the aluminum. But basically, my theory is that we've basically just removed that bridge. And that's a pretty wide port, but it's not as wide as the exhaust. So that should be okay. Should be okay. Yeah, right. Just don't do this. I do not recommend doing this, especially with such expensive stuff. But, you know, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Any situation, really. There's different ways you can look at things. I'm not going to lie. Like 15 minutes ago, I was sitting on the floor right there, just like completely beside myself, and I was pissed off, and I didn't know what to do. So, you know, we could look at this and be like, oh, what the hell? Like, this is a bad cylinder, or, you know, I messed it up and chipped it when I was doing the cleanup port, and it's everybody else's fault. Or it could be, you know, at this point, it's out of my control. I can't fix that plated cylinder, but this presents an opportunity for us to run the engine and see if this is actually a salvageable situation. So that if we were in a situation where, you know, there was like a big race to get ready for, or an event, which is literally what we're getting ready for, can you be okay by smoothing out the Nicosil and just getting through the day? Because my plan is, if we can run this, I went a little too far. If we can run this just bare minimum and it works, we can have some fun with it, do some passes with it, and then I'll get it replated when we come back from the dunes. That is my plan. And, you know, maybe it'll work. And this will be one of those deals where if somebody else is in a situation like this, they can be like, dude, I saw somebody do it, and they were actually able to get through the day and still be able to enjoy the machine. So definitely not ideal. Again, I do not recommend doing this, but sometimes, like in some situations, you just have to get it done. You just have to see if it works. So at worst, you know, we're going to destroy, it's going to have to be replated anyways. So I'm not really worried about the cylinder. The piston may get destroyed, but I think in the efforts of science, you know, it's worth it. Putting the rings in there and the piston, it glides right over it. I don't feel any catching whatsoever. Granted, you know, we're not running the engine. It's going to be under a lot more force. It's really hard to say, man. I think we're just going to send it. Just going to do this like 1,000 times. And then it's basically broken in. So my plan is I will bring the 309 top end, the pipe for the 309, basically the whole setup, and I will do very light warm up and break-in procedures with this, probably like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll pull the head off and see what that transfer port looks like. Then I can do it again, do a little bit more warm up, pull the head, and if it's holding up, then we'll run it. We'll give it some full sends. If I see some issues where it's starting to peel away or something, we'll just pull the top end and then swap over the 309, and at least I'll be able to enjoy the dunes. We'll have the stretch swing arm and stuff. It's not going to be as exciting as the 380, but it'll be what it'll be. I kind of think that this is going to work, though. I really do. So, again, do not do this. I don't recommend. Well, guys, I did something very stupid, and this is a prime example of why you shouldn't rush to get things done. We were getting there, you know, I was getting everything together. I had the top end on there, and then I put the Kickstarter on, and I was rolling it over just to make sure that everything goes nice and smoothly, and it kept getting stuck in a certain position. So I looked inside the intake port, and I noticed that the piston was actually coming down so low that the skirt was actually hitting the crank. So it would never do a full revolution. I'm not sure why. Maybe, I don't know if this is the incorrect piston or what the deal is. At the top of the stroke, it looked good. So I just went to trim the bottom of the piston, which basically just in an effort to get it done by all means necessary. The intake side is good. No issues there. And I started shaving off the front side to kind of balance it out and just took too much off. Really one of those things where I know better. And as I was cutting the piston, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, dude, I totally screwed myself. I'll show you what I did wrong. Okay, you guys are gonna have to excuse the mess. The mess on the bench is basically the mess in my mind right now. So let's get our piston in here, and so we'll come up to top dead center, and if you look in the exhaust port, I think it'll be a little bit better if we get some light going on in here. Okay, right like that. Okay, so at top dead center, we're right about there, and you can see there's not enough piston skirt to close that exhaust port. So it should be like that at top dead center. And as you can see, I just took, I'm gonna say about 4 or 5 millimeters too much off. And again, it's so easy to measure. You just put the piston in like it is right now, and you can mark where the exhaust port is so that you don't go too far. Really just a total newbie mistake and something that I know better. It's just when you're rushing, you tend to do stupid stuff, man. I cannot believe, I'm still in disbelief. It's been one of those scenarios where it's like, because it's been maybe 45 minutes now, where it's like, man, if I could just go back 1 hour, and not shave that off, we'd be good. But you can't do that. You know, this is reality. There's no way. So it's now Monday night. It's 9 p.m. and we have tomorrow, and then we're leaving Wednesday morning. So there's no way that I can send a new piston in. As you guys can tell, I've done quite a bit of modifications to this too. It would really be a shame to just trash this piston. But at this point, the engine would run like this. It's just probably not going to run very well because, you know, as the piston comes up, it's pulling in a charge from the intake, and that gap below the piston skirt it's going to push a lot of that intake charge right out the exhaust. So I don't think that would be very good for performance. And I'd hate to do all this performance mods and stuff. I'm putting the 380 on there and stuff, and then it runs like hell. So I have one last ditch effort to get this thing going. It's probably an even dumber, option than running the cylinder with the piece of flaking Nicosil. And that is, I'm going to have my buddies Matt and Shane. You may remember them from when we made the custom airbox on the Voodoo Banshee. Matt is an expert TIG welder. This is a really thick piston. It's 3.22 millimeters wide. It's a very heavy-duty piston. It's billet aluminum. I would never consider doing this anyways, but I would definitely never consider doing it on like a cast piston or a skinny piston. But because this is so beefy, I'm going to have him pile up some TIG weld on the edge here. We're going to try to keep it nice and cool so we don't get any warping or anything. And then I'll shape it just enough to cover up that exhaust port. And that should be, in theory, just enough to get us going and get us to the sand dunes running with the M380R. And if we can make it through the weekend, this stuff will be coming off immediately. We'll be getting the cylinder replated and a new piston that is not, hack job. This is unfortunate, and it's not the way I wanted things to go, but, that's just life sometimes. And at the end of the day, this is not a life or death scenario. And the worst case scenario is, we'll just grenade the entire engine. Unlikely. The piston skirt could break off. That is definitely a realistic possibility. I don't know that that's going to happen, though. Just on the one side, we'll keep it nice and thick so that it can be as strong as possible. We'll just see what happens, I guess. Oh. Now, we can't finish the engine tonight, but what we can do is weigh this against the takeoff engine. You didn't think I'd forget about that, did you? Absolutely not. So I just have all the components out here. We've got the bottom end. I have it dressed the same way that we had the 309. This one's definitely heavier. Oh, I gotta zero out the scale here. We'll do it in the same way as the other one. Okay, 0.000 pounds. I think the bottom end is just as heavy as the whole other engine. Jeez. Whew. 53.7. That's we're getting close. We were 60.5 with the 309. I'm just gonna lay this stuff in place. Oh, we're already over 61.29. That's really not bad though, because we're pretty much there. There's not much other stuff. We just have the intake here. If we can magically stack this on top without having it fall. And even the piston rings. We've got to put the piston rings on there. It wouldn't be a fair match. And I've got the piston pin in there too. Wow, almost exactly 63 pounds. That's 2.5 pounds is not bad. 2.5 pounds. So I think Dave was telling me that the cases were about 2.5 pounds heavier than stock. So if the top end is similar in weight to the 309, amazing. So a 1.5 pound gain. We lost that in like the pegs alone. So, well, actually, we lost even more than that in the pegs. So I'll take that as a victory. We got at least one thing's going right, We lost a little bit of weight. I don't know. So as always, in the spirit of getting things done, our bottom end is crispy and ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to get that in the frame, since that's something that we can do while we're waiting until tomorrow for the piston incredible weld job, and just try to get everything as ready as possible so that when I come home with the piston, we can clean it up, shave it, and make it as minty as possible, throw it in there, and get this thing fired up. So fingers crossed, guys. We got to make it happen, man. We can't just skip this trip and wait for next year. We got to make it happen. Let's do it. All right, guys, it's Tuesday morning, and I'm on the way to Stouts Customs. I'm going to get together with Shane and Matt, and we're going to see if we can weld this piston up. I'm very nervous, man. I'm really, reconsidering my situation. I'm not so much worried about the piston failing and the cylinder failing and getting damage there. I'm more worried about the bottom end, because if the skirt breaks off and falls into the bottom end, inevitably there's probably going to be some bottom end damage. Now, granted, because those cases are so tough, the chances of so much damage that they wouldn't be repairable or savable is very slim, but there would still probably be damage, and that's something that I don't want to happen. But this is just one of those situations, man. I wouldn't be who I am if I always played the safe route. So I guess we'll see what the piston looks like after we're done working on it. And if it looks like it'll work, we're gonna ship it. And full send.
So dimpling the piston makes it lighter?
Well, lighter, yes, and it changes. It helps with like the friction and lubricity, because each one of those little dimples will carry oil.
Yep.
Yeah. It looks good though, man. It's
that little black shit off of there.
Matt's trying to keep it cool. We're doing one pass at a time and letting it cool. What do you think, dude?
It'll work. It's welding really nice. It really likes clean aluminum.
Yeah.
It's good. Just sipping it one little drop at a time.
There it is. All right, leaving Stouts Customs. I feel really good, man. I think it's gonna be really good. Matt said that the aluminum was super clean and it welded really nicely. There's no good way of looking at this situation, but at least these little hurdles to get us to the end of the race, which is basically the starting line on the sand dunes. We're getting over each hurdle one at a time. I feel really good. Those guys are awesome in there. I tried to pay them and they wouldn't take any money, so I had to leave $100 on the bench because they just wanted to help me out. So we're getting there, guys. We're back in business. We might get this thing running, dude. We might get it running. All right, guys, there it is. It actually looks pretty damn good. I was really nervous at first, but I really think that this is going to hold up. If you come in the back, you can see the weld. And I could have machined that down on the inside too, Matt and I, and then cleaned it up so that there'd be no seam. But I thought it would be better to leave that a little bit thicker up at the top, and then I kind of tapered it down at the edges because we want this to be as light as possible, because if it's heavy, that's more weight that's slinging around down there. I think we're going to be good. If the best part is, slide this in our cylinder, get it up to top dead center. If you guys can see, it is perfect. So our exhaust port is now covered all the way up to top dead center. We should be good to go. We had no warping or anything. The piston pin fits in just like it did before. Slides in place nice, and the rings fit in there too. So we're working on hopes and dreams right now, but it's looking more realistic that this could possibly work. Well, guys, if this isn't a sign that I am not supposed to run this engine, then I don't know what is. I've got the wrong length rod. Every step of the way here, we're getting over hurdles, but this one, I think we're done. So you can see if we go to bottom dead center, it goes below the exhaust port. You can see right there, which is not good. And then if we come all the way to top dead center, well, I went a little bit past it, but it actually comes out of the jug just slightly, which in some cases can be okay, but we're using O-rings, so that actually bumps up against the dome. So I guess somewhere along the way I made a miscalculation and I ordered a 76 millimeter rod, which I thought was correct. And this setup calls for a 72 millimeter rod, so it makes sense that the piston didn't fit, which that really should have made me put on the brakes right then and there, but I think I'm just pushing so hard to get this done, and I just look past things, and I feel bad all the companies that push to, all these parts out to me so fast, and the only way to do this at this point would be to get the 72 millimeter crank, tear the entire engine back down, put the other crank in, and then we'd still be running on a bad Nickel bore and a welded piston. Totally disappointed right now. But I guess the only option really is to put the 309 top end on and just enjoy the extended A-arm, the billet cases, the lightweight axle, and the little bit of modifications that we did, and we'll just see how hard we can push that 309. At least we know that runs. And I'll just enjoy it for what it is. Just very, very disappointing. It's not like the kind of thing where I can go back out next weekend or whatever. Oklahoma is about 1,750 miles from here. So this is kind of like one of those things that, you know, I look forward to, but stop being a Debbie Downer, all right? It'll be all right. Let me get that 309 on there. We're getting pretty close to having this thing finished. Besides wiring up the Ziltronic ignition, putting the intake on, and the plastics, we're pretty much there. So speaking of the intake, I've actually got that right here in this box. I know that this is it. It is Tuesday, man. We're supposed to be leaving in like 12 hours. I think because of this whole ordeal, we're gonna wind up waiting one more, at least half day, because there's just no way. I still have to get the trailer out. I still have to change out the front brake line on the Tri-Z, load up the trailer and stuff. And I've got 24 hours of driving. It's almost 1,800 miles to get out there. I just don't think it's a good idea to be pulling like an all-nighter to get this thing done. Anyways, I have the intake right here. This is made by my buddy Gavin, Gavin Miller. So I met him at the first 250R tour, and he's kind of become a buddy of mine. So I wanted to open this up on camera. He's been sending me pictures. I know it looks awesome, and I want to share it with you guys. So we'll open this thing up. I do know what it looks like, because like I said, he sent me a ton of pictures of this thing, and dude, these things are awesome. If you haven't seen a Gavin Miller intake, you're in for a treat. There it is, man. Freaking sweet, right? Yeah, there's more to it than that. Since I wasn't allowed to weld it on your intake, now get your ass to Little Sahara. So when I did meet Gavin the first time at Little Sahara, he was threatening to draw a dick on my bike. And as you can imagine, we didn't really get off on the right foot because I thought he was serious, and I think he kind of was. We were joking that he was going to weld one on this intake. Oh, dude, this thing is huge. Look at the size of that filter. Man, beautiful welds on this thing. I love his logo that he tacks on there. It looks super trick. And if we were running our pipe from Scott Moser, this would match perfectly with that raw finish. It looks beautiful, and the filter is huge, dude. This thing is going to be an absolute air hog. So even though we're running the 309, I do believe with the DMR intake that I ported to fit on there and this intake, and I'm running a different carburetor setup, I think we might still make a little bit more power than what we had before. Plus, we've got the Ziltronic programmable ignition, so we can adjust the timing curve. We might get another pony or two out of it, and with the lightweight, you know, all the lightweight stuff that we've done to this thing, we might actually whoop some ass out there. So I'm not gonna lie, I was bummed before, but I'm starting to get really excited. And plus, something about the way that this looks, I don't know why, even though, you know, we've got the old cylinder on there and the old pipe, it kind of has like a new look to it. It really looks awesome. So I'm excited to run the 309, I really am. And we've got a holographic Gavin Miller sticker. Freaking cool, man. You know I love stickers. Gavin knows, bro. Bro, thank you for this intake. It's gonna look awesome, but you're gonna regret giving this to me when I whoop your ass passing you because I have this thing. So this fits under here. This thing is freaking huge. And it mounts right up to this factory location right here. And you can see we're gonna bridge this gap, and Gavin gives you a little bit of extra hose. So you do have to cut it because it's going to be different for every application. And when you go aftermarket, it seems like fitment for everything becomes tight. At least aftermarket for performance. There we go. Looks like we need to cut a tad bit more, slightly on an angle, Best way I've found to cut this stuff, cleanest way anyways, is to put a band clamp on. I'm gonna put it at a little bit of an angle like that. That is about where we want it. Now I'll tighten this down, just snug. And I'm gonna take my knife with a new blade, makes it a lot easier. Just push in here. Oh, come on, you bastard. New knife, right? And I'm gonna kind of twist this towards me. You don't want to push the knife, because if you push the knife, that's kind of, you know, if you slip, you're gonna push into yourself. But if you rotate this and pull towards you, less likely that you're gonna get cut. And just kind of let the blade glide along the hose clamp. All right, guys, what I'm doing now is setting up the Zealtronic ignition. Here is the Zealtronic CDI, and we've got a cable here so that you can actually connect it to the computer. If you pull this little plug out here, it's got a connector, and you can just plug this bastard in like so. Then you've got a USB on this side. Go ahead and plug this in, and the software is available right from Zealtronic. It comes with two maps. You've got the TRX250R map and then the CR250 map. Number 1 is supposed to be CR250 and number 2 is TRX250R, I think. From what I read online, sometimes they're flip-flopped. But you can open it up and see what you have with the free software that they have. Now, the connection cable does come separately from the CDI, but I definitely recommend getting that connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this. I'm not gonna do a tutorial in this video for 2 reasons. 1, because of our time constraints, and 2, because I'm just learning this. So I wanna learn this and then I can show you guys. I don't have a screen recorder on this laptop, so we're gonna have to do it the old fashioned way, but I'll show you guys how this works. Oh, that didn't really help much at all. So you have the map 1 right here. If you click on map 2, there it is right there. And you can compare them too. So you can see map 1 is the blue one. The ignition timing curve is a little bit higher, a little bit more aggressive. That's the CR251. And you can adjust all of the timing curves up here. They have the RPM and then how much the timing is adjusted, which is really nice. If you go to MISC, you can adjust the timing advance right here in the programmer. You can also, I already adjusted my rev limit to 11,000. It was set at 10,000. And it has kickback protection right here. I was told to update this to 800 RPMs, and now we'll just hit program up here, and it's gonna program the ignition, and boom, it's done. So just like that, I changed that. I'm probably going to mess with the ignition timing too. For now, I'm gonna leave it at 0, but it's that easy. Then you unplug it and plug in you just unplug it. If the CDI was on the quad, you'd be good to go. So very, very cool system. I've been wanting to try one of these out for like 2 years. It's about freaking time. And also, if you do buy this through DRW Performance, there's a promo code. If you use Sabo10 at checkout, you will get 10% off. But they also have this mount. So it will work on, I think this is for square and round frames. So if you have an aftermarket frame, I could be wrong on that, but I know they offer one for a round frame. Mine is for the square frame because that's what I've got. But it's just a nice mount, hooks right up to the frame, and it allows you to have kind of like a clean mount for your CDI. All right, guys, we are there. We're gonna do try to do a first start. So, no ignition switch. Oh, look at the funnel sticking out of the side of the engine. I just put the oil in. Tell you what, man, rushing it's just not a good thing. It's Wednesday, by the way. We're supposed to have already been on the road at 6:30 this morning. Obviously, that's not happening. I've basically just decided to push everything back one day. I want to stop for a minute to thank you for making it this far into the video. I also want to stop to thank the companies that helped to make this project possible. Thank you to Rocket Ron Racing, Cast Precision Industries, Full Flight Racing, Powersports Nation, Dave Moore Racing, DRW Performance, Hermosi, and Mod Quad Racing. These are all companies I trust, and most of them I use on a regular basis. Links and promo codes will be listed in the description below. If you're enjoying the video so far and looking for a way to help out, giving the video a thumbs up, leaving a comment below, or subscribing to the channel all help out a ton. Products and tools in the video are listed in the description below, and purchasing from those links does help me out
out a lot. I get a small kickback from that, and there's no extra cost to you. And if you're looking to support the channel even further, there is the option to join. All channel members get guaranteed responses to their YouTube comments. All right, guys, I am done talking. Let's get back to the video.
All right, let's see what happens here. 309R round 2, but with billet cases. I might need better shoes than this. This quad was not known for having the easiest starting, and it was also known for doing a little bit of kickbacking. So hopefully this boot will help. The Zealtronic's supposed to help with that, but who knows? I'm not taking any chances. Okay. Put the choke up maybe. I don't know if that's really gonna help. Oh, got something. Yeah. Woo. Sounds good. There's no coolant in there like normal, so. We're in business, baby. Hell yeah, dude. Let's get this thing together. You didn't think I'd forget, did you? Hell no, we gotta weigh this bastard. So I've got the scales out here. 233, 232.6, 233, 234, and 231.5. So I'm about 232 pounds according to these scales. If you guys remember, in the first one, we subtracted 10 pounds after the final weight because these scales are all off by like 2-3 pounds. They're higher, so, because I'm like 229-ish, and these are all saying around 232. So between all of them, they're about 10 pounds off. All right, let's weigh this damn thing. It's still pretty heavy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not feeling the greatest about our weight loss program that we went on here. I think it's gonna be like lighter for sure, but it just feels heavy. So, do the back end first. 82.2, 61.3. And in the front, this is where it's heavy, man, it really is. 91.1, 82.2. I think my original guess was like 330, so we've got 82.2 plus 91.1 plus 82.5 plus 61.3. 317.1. Dude, and we still have to subtract the 10 pounds. Wow. 317.1 minus the 10 brings us to 307.1. Holy shit, dude. Wow, man. I did not expect that, dude. That is way lighter than I thought. So 365.2 is the original weight minus 307.1. We lost 58.1 pounds, dude. That's almost 60 pounds. That's insane. If I wasn't so damn fat, I could probably lose like 60 pounds. I'm 230 pounds about. So if I just weighed like 170, we would lose 120 pounds, dude. Oh man, if I get a lightweight rider on this thing, I think even with just the little 309 top end, we might be able to tune some people up. So we're pretty much ready to go. I've got the 250R ready to rock and roll, and I'll do the tuning and stuff when we get out there. I can't really, with the sand paddles and just around here, we can't tune it here. And then the Tri-Z is pretty much ready to go. We'll tune that out there too. Might as well get loaded, dude. I got my work cut out. I got to get the trailer out and stuff, and 1,800 miles. So with that, I would pack up the 250R, the Tri-Z, and the rest of my stuff and head about 1,700 miles to Winoka, Oklahoma for the 2023 250R Takeover Tour. It was a brutal drive and the furthest I've ever driven on my own in one shot, coming in at 25 and a half hours total. And man, when I got there, I was absolutely shot. When I arrived at the sand dunes, it was about 8:30 a.m. on Friday. I was too excited to sleep. So I checked out the house and then I would head to the dunes.
And then inside, real nice clean design. They had these like concrete slabs on the floor, which is super easy to clean. Don't have to worry about breaking anything or messing up the floors. Real nice kitchen. And then man, they had accommodations. It says for 11 people. You got 4 bunk beds there. Come over here. And we got 4 bunk beds here. And if you come around the front, there's even more. Got I think this is a sofa bed. And then 2 more bunk beds. Pretty cool, man. Definitely a dune spot. And then if you did rent out like other units, you can open that up, and I believe you can link them together. And the bathroom's really nice too. Only complaint I had was there was only 1 bathroom, 1 toilet. We got a urinal though, which is pretty awesome. But check this out, man. This thing has a freaking bidet. And a heated seat, dude. So every time you sit down, it feels like somebody just got done. Really nice shower though, with 3 shower heads. Nice.
This year's event had a great turnout with over 200 TRX250Rs there. It was unbelievable how many people came out to see the Tri-Z and the 250R. I'd realistically estimate that over 100 people stopped me either on the trail or at my campsite to take pictures with the 250R and the Tri-Z, or just to hang out for a bit. It was an absolutely awesome event, and I'm truly happy and honored to have met so many of fans and subscribers of the channel. You guys all seriously rock. I've learned in the past that filming and covering these events really takes away from the enjoyment. So this year, because I didn't have the 380 engine finished, I decided to just enjoy the 309, do some ripping, and be present at the event. I had a new goal in mind. I wanted to finish that 380, and I knew exactly where to do it. My next leg of the trip would be heading to Norfolk, Nebraska to visit the Powersports Nation family. If there's any shop in the world that would have the tools to get the job done, it would be Powersports Nation. Let's see if we can get this 380 dialed in once and for all. Well guys, you may have noticed I'm in a bit of a different shop here. I'm actually at the Dickey's house. These are the owners of Powersports Nation. I've got the 250R here. The thing ran absolutely amazing at Little Sahara with the 310 top end on there. We had it dialed in really, really well. It was super fast. I was even taking down some of the bigger bikes. It wasn't anything crazy. It was kind of to be expected with a 310cc, but it did run really well. The weight reduction definitely helped big time. And up until the end there, suddenly I noticed I couldn't get second gear launches. And the idle was kind of it was raising up, and I couldn't get the idle to settle down. And it turns out I actually blew out the base gasket just slightly on the one side, and that will do that. You can see down here all this sandy oil. There was actually a piece of gasket sticking out, and that's how we saw that it had the blown gasket. It was still actually running pretty damn good with that, but definitely not something I want to continue running. And you can see all this dirt and some leaking right here. This is actually because the gas cap is leaking and running down the back. So we got a little bit of a mess there, but really otherwise it ran really, really well. It was awesome. I would say that I met, I'm not even kidding, 100 subscribers. There were so many people there, awesome people that I got to meet. They got to check the machines out, and just an awesome, awesome turnout. I think there had to be over 200 250Rs there. In the group photo, there were 178. You may see that Tri-Z in the photo in there. I don't know, it wasn't me who put it there, but there were also some 250Rs back at camp. So from what I understand, there were well over 200 250Rs. Awesome turnout. Now anyways, as you guys may have seen in the beginning of this video, we had some issues getting the 380 kit together for this. So luckily I did bring that cylinder with me so that people could check it out and see some of the issues that I came across. That's just kind of the name of the game. It happens sometimes, but Powersports Nation is gracious enough to let me use their shop here, and I'm going to yank the engine out of here. We're going to bring it to Powersports Nation, and my plan is Powersports Nation overnighted the correct crank, welded and trued the crank, so we have all the parts that we need. I'm going to separate the cases, put the right crank in there, and hopefully we can get that 380 on there. get that really sick exhaust on here and actually rip this thing. Unfortunately, it won't be at the sand dunes. We'll throw some dirt tires on here and we'll send it, man, see how that 380 goes. So let's tear this thing down.
So yet again, we're pulling the engine in the 250R. I should be getting good at this by now. Luckily, I had Liam from Powersports Nation there to give me a hand this time. Once we had the motor out, it was time to head to the Powersports Nation headquarters, where I would have access to all the necessary tools to do the engine build with the 380. We've come way too far to not get this engine going on this trip. Let's head inside and see what we can do.
We're moving along with the engine here, and right now I'm outside of the machine shop at Powersports Nation. And we've had the privilege of being allowed to use this shop to build the 250R. These are the machinists right here. Pro engine builders. But they've got all kinds of cool stuff here. They've got, this is a boring machine?
Yep.
We've got all kinds of stuff in here. Milling machine, lathes. They've got stuff to true cranks. All kinds of stuff. I don't even know what half of this stuff is, but pretty much any job you could think of, they're going to be able to get it done. If you come over here, they've got a surfacing machine. There's an engine stand right there. Got a welder. This is the surfacing machine right here. Really cool. It's just awesome to be in a real shop. So luckily, we should have every tool that we need to get the job done. We're going to try to do this as quick as possible, and we might even meet Jeff, who I would say, I guess, is he like your lead engine builder here?
He is our lead machine.
Yeah, he's the man, I can tell. He's welded a couple cranks for me and stuff. He welded the crank that we have here because Liam hopped on getting the crank overnighted to Powersports Nation. They welded it, and that's what we're going to throw in this bottom end. So I guess probably me and Liam are just going to knock this out as quick as possible.
Easy.
Yeah. And but this is cool though. Look how organized these tools are. It's tough using anybody else's tools, but at least when they're organized, this will help out a lot. So we should be good to go.
Now that the teardown's complete, we're about ready to put this thing together with the 380 top end and the correct crank. Now, accidents happen all the time, and as if we didn't have enough problems with this top end yet, when I was at the dunes, I had the piston and top end on display so that subscribers could check out the port work and the custom piston work that I'd done. After cleaning up camp and moving everything back to the house, I put the top end pieces in a box with sprockets and other 250R parts. I put that box in the back of a side-by-side for easy transport, and unfortunately, I forgot that the box was back there. We did a little bit of off-roading, and that box smashed all over the place in the back of that side-by-side. Needless to say, I was not happy. It resulted in scratches and small nicks in the dome and the piston. Totally not good and could cause detonation in the engine. I'll tell you, when it rains, it pours, but there was nothing that was going to stop me from getting this engine running on this trip. It was awesome to have Jeff, a master machinist and engine builder, on site to clean up the piston and the dome so we could make this thing good to go. Just another hurdle to get over to make this engine run.
So this is the guy here at Powersports Nation. Right now we're actually chucking off that super custom piston. We got some little bit of nicks and damage in it just from an accident we had. So he thinks he can clean it up a little bit. What do you have, these brass shims in here?
Yep, that's to protect the piston from the jaws. Just a precaution.
You think it's gonna run?
Yeah.
With all the welds and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Jeff said he's seen some shit in his day. Wasn't not that surprised seeing the welds. How's it looking?
Not bad.
Oh, it definitely looks better. It's amazing what just
Sandpaper.
a little bit of sandpaper. Jeff, how long you been working with motors?
Long time.
How long's a long time?
About 40 years, I suppose.
40 years.
I'm 52, so I started way back when I was a little shaver, you know, on a YZ60. And if you blow it up, you gotta tear it apart and fix it. So.
That's the truth, man. Well, I appreciate you having here helping us out, man.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to do it.
So we've got everything torn down. We did notice a little bit of glitter in here, and looking over the gears and everything, we can't find where it's coming from. You can see it all here. There's a ton. I really, it's aluminum, so I don't know if maybe it's from the new cases. Maybe there was something that's rubbing. I don't know, but we can't find anything.
So if you guys remember earlier in this video, when I was originally assembling the bottom end of this 250R, I forgot a small aluminum nail in the gears. I placed that nail there to keep the gears from turning when I'm tightening bolts. However, it's supposed to be removed before finishing off the engine. That's one of the reasons you use aluminum instead of steel, because in a case like this where I did forget that nail, at least the aluminum is softer than the steel gears, and the internals of the engine were able to chew up that aluminum nail, causing practically no damage. But at this moment, we were totally scratching our heads. We had no idea where that aluminum came from. Anyways, I'm fitting to build this 380, but Jeff stopped me and he said, hang on, man, you gotta clean up those parts. He said, here at Powersports Nation, we've got a special way of cleaning up parts, and it's a hell of a lot easier than using your standard parts washer.
Pick your favorite. Is it number 4, number 5, number 3, or 2 or 1? This is a parts washer. Helps it get really clean.
Damn.
Way to go, Jeff.
It's the most custom piece, Jeff.
Yes, babe.
All along there and underneath of it.
Oh, this spins.
Yeah, yep. See that big bar right there? And it just shoots right there in the water down on it.
Let's see these.
Yeah.
I bet you those are hot to the touch,
Very, 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 very hot.
but they look brand new.
All cleaned up.
Now that all the parts are clean and brand spanking new again, me and the guys from Powersports Nation spent the next 2 hours putting the engine together. This time with the 380 top end kit, the experimental welded piston that had chips in it and then was saved, the chipped Nicocell cylinder, and the repaired cylinder head dome. The only thing left to do is to take the engine back to the home residence of the Powersports Nation guys and get the engine in the frame. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to hear this 380 sing.
Now, for about the 5th time, I think 4th time actually, literally, we will install this engine into the frame, and finally, with the 380 Lynx top end. I did put the custom piston in, and I really think it's gonna work. I just really wanted to run it after all the work I put into that thing. I feel like we gotta try it out. And at worst, if it blows up, we're just gonna have to tear it down again. I'm getting pretty damn good at tearing these 250Rs down and putting them back together, so it's not the end of the world if we've got a failure yet again. Now we've got this beautiful SMP pipe. I've been dying to get this thing in place and just hear this thing. I've got it clear Cerakoted. I'm testing this out. I've got good fitment. Went in there, no problem. But the clear Cerakote should be awesome, because when you have a raw pipe, you've got to oil it constantly, and that is just a pain in the ass. So hopefully we'll never have to do that with this one, and it'll keep that nice raw finish forever. Now we've got this really nice V-band style clamp here. I'm gonna put just a little bit of red RTV on our mating surfaces just to make sure we don't get any leaks. 2-stroke exhaust, man, we don't want any leaks at all. Man, this thing looks absolutely ridiculous. Look at this pipe, dude. Just an awesome pipe. This thing's like a freaking work of art. And pull our V-band in place. This is the first time working with one of these, but these are supposed to give a really, really good seal. We'll slip our silencer in place here. We'll use a Banshee style pipe connector for our pipe mount. Now I'll tighten down this V-band clamp, and this thing is installed. It has perfect fitment, man. Like that. Liam's gonna start it by hand.
Snaps my wrist.
It wouldn't be good.
I'm okay. You're paying for my hospital bill, right?
It does look really good though. Fit perfect.
The seat's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it really fits up very, very nice. So we're about ready to fire it up, dude.
Compression.
Whew, this pipe is so big though, like
You like kick to the
I
side,
don't want to kick the pipe.
dents it.
Yeah, I don't want to get like rub on it. It's too nice. It's got some serious compression, dude.
Yeah, kick like a man. Kick like a man. There you go. Ooh.
Damn, dude, on those f***ing compression strokes. It actually started pretty easy. Yo, just give it a little stab. Yo, you can feel the power, man.
This sound.
Alright. I want to give it some. This one needs extra warming up because we've got that custom piston in there. Dude, it's almost like a 4-stroke. You know the pumps?
Where the pumps hit you in the
Yeah, it felt like this.
God, I hate that. Yeah, it really does.
That's got a good sound to it,
That has
dude.
that hit. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Wow. I'll let this warm up a little bit. It does have coolant in it, but I have not burped it, so it probably needs a little bit more coolant. It sounds really good though.
The fact that it idles right away.
Looks pretty good too. It's not like super smoky or anything.
God, it sounds like it's been ripped.
We'll let it cool off, and then I want to top off the coolant. But dude, honestly,
That thing sounds sweet.
yeah, but definitely I want to put a good amount of time, like just cruising and
On the break-in.
yeah. I'm wondering if I can run this on the grass without. They're pretty expensive paddles, not gonna lie. so-
Yeah, you don't want to those up.
I think you've got the cojones. It should, it'll kick a little easier now that the kicker's right. See, it's supposed to go forward a little bit. That's why we were having so much trouble. It should, probably one good kick. The top end is a little noisy. It's got that custom piston in there, the one that I dip pulled and everything. And I want to make sure I put a good amount of brake in on that. It sounds awesome though, and it's really, really snappy. It's snappier than the 310 was. Probably because it's not a stroker anymore. It really sounds good, dude. We're gonna put the put a little bit of time on it, put the plastics back on. There's a sand pit out here we're gonna be ripping. But we finally got the 380 together, man. Finally. It looks awesome.
moment is finally here. All the hard work was finally going to pay off. Well, hopefully. I'm honestly very nervous to run this thing. Sitting and idling is one thing, but putting it under heavy load and doing clutch dumps is another, especially because the top end wasn't particularly quiet. My speculation is that that's piston chatter from cutting the skirts on the piston short, but engines do make noise and I'm extra sensitive to it right now. But I wasn't about to back out this late in the game. We've got to full send it.
All right, guys, we are at a local sand pit. I don't think it's very big, but we should have enough that we can find a nice straightaway and get her dialed in. Now we're only at 71 degrees here, so we'll let her get good and warm. And I guess we just have to see if even the transmission works here. And my plan is to just kind of cruise around and get this nice and warm and maybe run like a quarter of a tank through it before I start really going hard on it, because the last thing we want to do with that piston is just jump right into these, you know, hard hitting straightaways and stuff. I'll tell you what, dude, this thing really has a bark, man. I have a feeling this thing's gonna be really fast. Oh my God, dude. Whoa. It definitely pulls harder. Even just from feeling that little bit. Dude, even just doing those little like blips, you can tell it's got quite a bit more. But it's
the sound of it, like you just cruising over there, it just sounds so broke.
Yeah, dude, there's a huge flat field over there.
You want to go to like that one?
It's actually got torque. Wow. Yeah, because that was one of the things, if you're a 310 guy, it's really hard to get any kind of bottom end on a 310. And my 310, I mean, for what it was, I guess it was pretty good, but the bottom end was really not there. Oh, wow. I cannot wait. This is very difficult, man. If you've ever had to do break-ins, it is freaking torture doing a break-in. Very, very smooth power. We're only at 127 degrees right now. So we're not even warmed up. It may actually be even a little bit lean. Well, you know, it's so cool and breezy today. It's just staying cool. It's only at 130 degrees, but it feels. Take it around for a little bit, and you can get on it a little bit like I did there. Just don't like dump the clutch. You can feel it needs to be geared up. Like even without ripping on it, you can feel it needs to be geared up. It runs out of gear really quick.
Really quick?
Really quick, yeah. So Liam got to ride it as a 310. So he knows he'll get to feel the difference too. It's cool just to hear it. It's tough, man. It really is. We got like 20 minutes of this bullshit, but we really, well, it's a good thing to do. I said, F it, dude, full send. We're just gonna go right to a second gear launch. Oh, geez. I think we can sit a little further back. All right, just in case it's gonna blow up, you get one in too, so we at least will have launched one each.
we had a bigger gear, it would jump. Let it eat on that power band.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh yeah. Dude, you definitely, holy shit, dude, I can't stop. Oh my God. You definitely have to sit back on it and it moves, man. Oh man. Oh dude, yeah, if you sit back, it pulls pretty good out of the hole.
Dude, it throws a roost too. It's nice.
Whoa, dude. You know how when you ride like a 1000cc sport bike,
Yeah.
you start to get comfortable on it, and then all of a sudden you realize how much power it has, and it's like I could really get hurt.
Yeah, where it's like it reminds you of how dangerous it is.
I think you could really go fast on this.
Yeah.
Liam's a pro wheelie rider.
Semi-professional. My brother still kicks my butt. He's really good. For some reason, like we had a four-wheel drive four-wheeler, and he would stand on the front rack and do reverse wheelies with it for like 100 feet. He could do it probably. I'm not kidding. When we say that thing needs to be geared up, it really could just use it.
You know, if you get it just right, it feels like if you let go at all, you're gonna fall off. But you gotta sit all the way back, I noticed, like really far back.
I can't get over the sound of that bike.
All right, I'm good.
When it comes to performance things and things of that nature, it means absolutely nothing unless you know the numbers. I don't even know. You can't just be fast. You have to know the numbers in order to get the power of the ground. Let's have a look at this 380R. Now you may notice we've already got some data recorded here. Now that's actually for the old format, that's the 309R. And this is actually the original dyno that I had done. You can see this is from a dyno jet. This is very inaccurate. Anyways, I've duplicated this power curve right here. It made just under 60 horsepower. So you can see it was pretty peaky. It kind of, it didn't really have too much down low. We were around 60 horsepower, revved out around 9,000 RPMs, 8,500 was kind of where it maxed out. So with the 380 though, significantly more power down low. I would have to say it comes on way, way, way sooner. And I feel like it has more of like a bell curve. I don't know if a bell, but it comes on way, way, way sooner. And I would say realistically, we're nice and smooth, very, very linear, and very nice wide power band. I think it revs a little bit higher too because we're no longer a stroker, and that super lightweight piston, man. And I'm gonna say it goes up, man. I'm gonna say over 70 horsepower. I would say low 70s, maybe we'll say 72 horsepower. Actually, exactly. Let me go on now. Exactly 72 horsepower, and
I think it rev a little bit higher, has really good, decent over rev, and then kind of falls off. Well, we'll just kind of put it like that. But just all over the map, it is significantly more power. So the peak isn't that much higher. You know, we're going from, we'll just say 60 to 72 about. So about 12 horsepower gain is what I would estimate. But what makes this engine feel so much more powerful than the old one, it's just the power band is so wide. I mean, it's probably even higher and flatter. It's just really, really, really good power. Now, you may notice another player has entered the chat. We've got Voodoo. So, you know, a lot of people were asking me like, oh, dude, why didn't you bring the Voodoo Banshee to the dunes? And it was just it's a lot getting these machines ready and getting them out there, so you guys can see in this video. But I would say that speed-wise, you know, power, I do think that the Voodoo Banshee is faster. It's probably got around 80 horsepower. But I would not be surprised if the new 380 is faster, because I'm just going to do like a guesstimate on the Banshee's power curve. Dude, it is so radical. There's like nothing down low. Like, it is seriously like this. And then it just suddenly spikes up like insane and gets to that probably about 80 horsepower and just kind of like falls off. It's really, really, really peaky, uncontrollable power. And because of that, the 380R is just such a good power plant, really smooth linear power. And that's what you need if you want to win. Basically, what you really need is this chart. So if we follow this power curve, you're gonna notice right off the bat, this thing's got some ass, baby. Even down low, it's got some torque for a 2-stroke, and then it comes up here, we're starting to make big power, and you're like, oh my God, why isn't it slowing down? How come this is making more power? And then right about here, the piston explodes and shatters into a million pieces because it's welded together. But it won't matter, because up until that point, you'll be looking like a badass. And that is your official Ask Dyno report. Product spotlight. Why would we not do those? Don't know. But got this brand new product right here from Dave Moore Racing. This thing is actually freaking sweet. This is a rear master cylinder for the 250R. Now, it's not like your regular master cylinder. It is an upgraded cylinder. So you've got an integrated reservoir. We've got a nice Mod Quad reservoir cap up here. Keeps everything in one place, and it doesn't just look freaking sweet. This is a performance upgrade. So you've got a larger piston that's gonna move more fluid and give you more stopping power. There's also going to be less brake fade with this. So for guys that are using the brakes a lot, especially on the motocross track, this could be a key element. And also for guys like me who do not even have front brakes on the 250R, are gonna love something like this. This thing is made of solid billet aluminum, so it's virtually indestructible, and many of the internal components are shared with the Yamaha Banshee. So you're not gonna have to worry about any of these parts becoming discontinued in the future. Now, you won't see this on my 250R in this video because I didn't get this until after this series, but this is gonna be an awesome upgrade. If you guys are looking to get one of these, you can get them on the Dave Moore Racing website. So you can find it on davemooreracing.com. He is in the process of putting these up, so if it's not on the website right now, you can email him at davemooreracing@gmail.com. Make sure to let them know I sent you. Check it out, guys. The DMR rear brake master cylinder. All right, let's get back to the video. This thing definitely needs more work, but as far as the engine goes, I think we're pretty much dialed in. Maybe a little bit of jetting tweaking that we could do. Definitely the gearing needs to be changed, but as far as like the power delivery and stuff, man, this thing runs like a freaking rocket ship. I don't know if you guys noticed at the end there, the idle started to come up a little bit and it got a little bit louder. We didn't notice until we got back to the shop, but the exhaust flange bolts, the heads actually snapped off. So the exhaust was separating from the cylinder just slightly. You can see right there, this one snapped off and you can actually see the bottom of the bolt. And this one over here is backing off. The one down here snapped off. That is a result of using aluminum hardware, which just not a good idea. Easy fix. So I think we're good on the power plant. I think this thing makes really good power. What would make this thing dangerous is gonna be the setup. So, you know, we spent a little bit of time on the sand. We were out there for maybe an hour, but really it would take a lot of going out, putting on different tires, you know, adjusting the suspension, changing the gearing, and then, you know, keep going back and seeing what works best to really dial this thing in and make it super fast. Because I did notice coming out of the hole, it's not as impressive as I would have liked. You know, I've ridden some really fast quads that they give you serious stomach drops out of the hole, man. And the front end stays nice and planted. Even with this 8-inch swing arm, there were a couple times I launched it that I had to let off because it literally will stand up. So I think possibly different tires, I might need to mess with the suspension a little bit, lower it down or something like that, and definitely gearing. The gearing is way too short. Like I said, when I was riding, this still has the same gearing from the 309. Unfortunately, when I was in Oklahoma, I had all my sprockets out, and I left the freaking sprockets in Oklahoma. I forgot them. So when I got to Nebraska and we worked on this, we were stuck with the 309 gears. So definitely, I think those three things would be key to making this thing super fast, because it's out of the hole that makes you super fast. On the top end, man, this thing pulls super hard. So we could make this a dangerous machine. If you're in the drag racing world, let me know what I could change up on this thing. This is my first drag racing build. And I mean, I think it came out awesome. Super thankful that you guys followed this series. Let me know in the comment section below if you've had experiences like this. Because, man, I'm super proud that, you know, we got it together. We overcame, we had the cylinder, the Nicosil, was chipped. We smoothed it out, made that work. We had the piston. Oh man, what a disaster that was. But we fixed it, man. We welded it up. It's in there. It's running great. What else did we have? We had, you know, the piston in the dome rocking around in the back of the side-by-side got chipped up. Smoothed it out, got it working, and then the crank was the wrong size. Overnighted the crank, had it welded and trued out at Powersports Nation, and then we tore down the engine and rebuilt it out at Powersports Nation. We just made it work, and I'm just super happy with that. It may not be 100%, you know, tip-top. We get a little bit of some hack work in there, but man, I think this is awesome. So let me know in the comment section below if you've ever been getting something ready for a show or an event or a race, and you've been doing that same thing, rushing till the end and sometimes taking it even to the track or the event and finishing it there, because, you know, I think that's what it's all about. It was awesome to see all the people come together and help me. Super thankful to the companies that made this happen. Without these companies and without you guys watching these videos, I can't do stuff like this. So thank you guys so much. So for now, we're gonna wrap up the M380R. I would consider this a success. Make sure to stay tuned. When I was out in Nebraska, I was at Powersports Nation, and I got to film a lot of what goes on out there. It was some really cool stuff. So we're gonna have videos on that coming up soon. And we also had a little bit of fun out there. We had a Razor 900 that was basically like your granddaddy's farm equipment. And we put it up against a Razor Pro R with like $60,000 of work done to it. So that was super fun. There'll be a video coming out on that. And then we'll be pulling the Corvette in and firing that project back up, which I'm super excited for. I love all you guys. Please hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.